Hello and good evening, everyone. This is Kyle Ryman for Soaring Weather, here to give you your daily live weather discussion for this Tuesday, August 11th, 2020. Not much weather has happened at all today, except for a few scattered thunderstorms and showers passing through the state. And one actually was given a severe thunderstorm warning earlier this afternoon. So, a little bit of interesting weather for parts of New Jersey along the coast, specifically Sandy Hook and Seagirt saw that severe thunderstorm warning. But in terms of right now, things are just as calm as they were last night when I was doing the live weather discussion. Things are looking a little bit warmer right now compared to last night when we were talking about the weather. But overall, mostly the same. Right now, we have that pocket of cool air over the northwest corner of New Jersey. Temperature still in the mid to upper 70s. And down South Jersey along the coast, temperatures are still in the upper 70s, and parts of New Jersey are still in the lower to mid 80s. So, still a little warm outside right now. Definitely starting to cool down as the night starts to set in. If we look at the dew point, just to get a better idea of how muggy it is still outside, dew points are in the lower to mid 70s, and I do see a 78 down South Jersey. That is Greenwich, and also a 78 by Oceanport. So that's the Seagirt, Sandy Hook area, and also another 78 in Pequest. So that's northwest New Jersey. So we're still looking at muggy conditions across the state right now, and that's going to continue over the next few days. In terms of winds right now, things are looking very calm right now. As I look at my weather station that I just set up a few weeks ago, winds are pretty much at a standstill where I am, but I'm going to take a look at wind speeds across the state in general. Here again, winds are almost standstill, 5 to 10 miles an hour in some parts. I do see a little bit of peaks of wind in South Jersey along Fortescue and Atlantic City, and another 15 mile an hour reading up in northwest New Jersey. I'm not sure what station that is. But overall, we're looking at very calm winds, 5 to 10 miles an hour at the most. And if we look at satellite and radar, just to see what's going on outside, quite calm outside here in our region, aside for some clouds starting to pop up. And that's actually our low pressure up here circulating, and that cold front swinging down from the northwest right now. Some severe weather is happening right now down in the southeast. You can see some convection going on right now. But as we look at our area of the world, it's quite quiet before we see thunderstorms and showers for tomorrow evening. Now, I did talk about the tropics last night, and we still have a lot to talk about with that, even though I said it's going to be a little bit quiet for the next couple of weeks. That invest we were actually looking at just a few days last night actually is now declared a tropical depression by the National Hurricane Center. Tropical Depression 11 is now formed between the Lesser Antilles and the Cabo Verde Islands, just on the 40 west latitude. If we take a look at the current products right now, Tropical Depression 10 is expected to strengthen into a tropical storm later on in the week. I'll talk about that more later on with that forecast and where that's going to be going from here on out. But that's what the National Hurricane Center is saying. And we'll go back. Nothing really other than Tropical Depression 11 in the tropics right now. But we wouldn't really want to get used to the quiet conditions we're seeing right now, because we are approaching the peak of the season, which will be a month from now in the middle of September. As we take a look at satellite and radar, here's our depression right now, Tropical Depression 10. I'm going to zoom in on them, give you guys a better look at what we're looking at. So in terms of the difference between now and last night when we were talking about this area of interest, definitely a lot more rotation with this area of development. And I'm going to loop that real quick for you guys just to show you what we're looking at right now. But in terms of convection, which is what really it comes down to, why it's still a tropical depression, it's not really all that there right now. So as we take a look at the loop, we do see some circulation happening, a little bit of convection to the south of where it looks like the center's starting to set up. So overall, it's not that organized yet to call it a tropical storm, but it will probably get more organized as the day progresses and the week progresses. And I'll talk about more into the forecast of Tropical Depression 10 in just a second. Uh, so that's all that's going right now in terms of weather. Again, our low pressure is swinging up from the north, as you saw on the radar and satellite. That rotation up in New Brunswick and parts of northeastern Canada, that's our low pressure, and that front of clouds that we saw earlier is actually the cold front beginning to sweep down from the northwest. So that's going to progress into our area tomorrow, and that leads us into the forecast for the day tomorrow. First thing we're actually going to talk about is the tropical storm, tropical depression situation, before we talk about other conditions in our region, because that's the biggest thing we're looking at right now. So if we look at the vorticity product, and again, that shows you how much spin is going on in the atmosphere. Here's our little tropical depression with that red dot barely visible. And if you progress for the next few hours on this product, definitely showing some good circulation as it progresses. But the Euro has it fading out, looks like by the 18th. So that's about a week from now. Looking at next week. This swinging close to the East U.S., but overall swinging out east due to that Bermuda high that's going to really kind of just push it out and away from the East Coast. If we look at the two main factors that we were looking at last night, the dry air and the wind shear. Wind shear is really going to be a big deciding factor as to how long Tropical Depression 10 or future Tropical Storm Josephine sticks around. So looking at humidity and showing you how much moisture or dryness is in the atmosphere, here's our little invest in the area of blue, green, and purple. And right in front of it is this swath of dry air, and that's going to have to compete with that dry air for the time being until it develops a closed area of circulation, so it can repel that kind of dry air. But overall, looking at the next few days, that dry air is going to really affect Tropical Depression 10 or future Tropical Storm Josephine. But it does look like it does break out of that dry patch of air in the atmosphere that we saw. But the biggest determining factor, if this does stay alive and around for a while instead of being a short-lived storm, is the wind shear within the atmosphere. And I had posted an update on that earlier this evening, just to highlight some key areas, but I'll just go over it again with you guys. So here's our tropical depression right now in an area of low to moderate wind shear within the atmosphere. And again, wind shear is varying levels of change in direction and speed as you go higher up in the atmosphere. And that's bad for a hurricane or tropical cyclone developing, but good for thunderstorms overall and tornado activity. So that's something to note with the wind shear. So going forward, our tropical depression, tropical storm is right here in the Atlantic. I'm going to point my mouse right over it. And as we progress into the next few days before the weekend, here's our tropical depression. And as you can see, there's this big swath of wind shear in the oranges and reds, and that's going to really kind of tear Tropical Depression 10 apart. And just ahead of it is actually something called a potential vorticity streamer, and that basically what it is, to my understanding, is an area of intense vorticity within the atmosphere and wind shear. So that's going to be bad for Tropical Depression 10 in terms of development. And that, that streamer is right between these gray areas with the Atlantic. So it's starting out in the Gulf, moves over parts of southern Florida, up into some parts of the western Atlantic, and then eventually out to the northeastern Atlantic towards the Arctic Sea. So that's our streamer that we're looking at, and that's going to be really kind of a upgrade barrier for Tropical Depression 10. That's going to really tear it apart over the next few days. So looking past that, Tropical Depression 10 doesn't really survive that PFS. But overall, what we're looking at is this is going to be a very short-lived system, as I said. Chances are it may survive this PFS, but models aren't really favorable for that going forward. I'm going to just hop off script a little bit, or hop off what I was talking about and show you some spaghetti plots. going forward with Tropical Depression 10. So this is Tropical Tidbits right now that I'm looking at. I'm going to show the GFS's ensemble forecasting. So here again, we have Tropical Depression 10 moving northwest, and some of it have it actually taking a early turn to the north before it moves over the Lesser Antilles Islands. And some models are actually predicting it drop down to 980, 970 millibars. So that's in the territory of hurricane status in terms of strength. So again, only a few of these models are showing hurricane strength with Tropical Depression 10, but again, that PVS and the dry air are going to be big determining factors going forward with Tropical Depression 10. Here's another spaghetti plot looking at the intensity of Tropical Depression 10. One model doesn't have it becoming a hurricane late next week, early next week, excuse me. And majority of models still have it as a weak tropical storm, possibly dipping down to a tropical depression or lower in strength. So these two determining factors are key in the future for Tropical Depression 10, and we'll still have to keep a look on that and see if it does survive these harsh conditions that we're going to be seeing right now down the road. In terms of weather here, we're looking at a cold front that's going to sweep through tomorrow throughout the day and kind of stall out on Thursday. And ahead of that, the National Weather Service office in Mount Holly has issued a flash flood watch for parts of southwest New Jersey, stretching up as far as parts of areas west of Morristown. And then also, this is more applicable to right now, but a heat advisory is in effect for that northeast area of New Jersey. Again, heat is playing a big factor in that mugginess, what we're seeing right now. So going back to that cold front, flash flood watch is in effect for the day tomorrow and possibly even into Thursday. Just look at that flash flood watch just for a second just to get more details on that. So we're looking at tomorrow morning into tomorrow evening with this area of showers and thunderstorms for the day tomorrow. So I'm going to give you a breakdown of what to expect going forward with this. So here's our future radar on the NEM product, and that's good at looking at medium-sized details within the atmosphere. And so this is the simulated radar product, and this is giving an idea of what things are going to be like going forward tomorrow. So here's our low pressure up to the north and that cold front sweeping down to the southwest and moving over our region. So over the next few days, days. So what we're looking at is some scattered showers ahead for tomorrow morning. And some areas could see some scattered thunderstorms as well throughout the day tomorrow. And we'll get a better look at that with the HRRR model, and that's good at looking finer details within the atmosphere. So if we go to, and we're actually going to hop out of this setting of our model website just for a second, just to give you guys a better picture of what to expect for the day tomorrow. So we're going to go to the HRRR United States, and we're actually going to go right over New Jersey just to give you a clear picture of just kind of a guideline of what to expect for the day tomorrow. So this is right now some scattered showers, it's saying, through parts of North Jersey. I don't think there's anything currently on radar right now, so that's probably just a fluke within the model. But looking at the day tomorrow, some showers do come into the picture during the overnight hours going into the early morning tomorrow, and this actually may develop into a thunderstorm going forward into the morning, so we'll have to take a look at that further. Unfortunately, this model doesn't go out much further than 7 a.m. tomorrow, so I'm actually going to have to go back to the first model I was looking at in terms of the simulated radar for the day. So here again, here's what we're looking at. This is right now. It still has that little bit of scattered rain or thunderstorm. I'll have to check radar in just a second just to see if that is actually there. But looking at the overnight hours, some scattered showers, thunderstorms moving through. and it'll probably clear out for parts of North Jersey as early as noontime, but South Jersey will still be seeing some showers throughout the day tomorrow. And I'm actually mistaken. There is actually some pop-up showers that do come up during the morning on Thursday, so we're going to have to look at that a little more in depth with some severe weather products. So what we're looking at right now is the Cape Surface product, and that tells us how much energy is available for convection and thunderstorms throughout the day. So right now, a good fair amount of energy is available for these thunderstorms. That's actually not now. That was actually earlier with those scattered thunderstorms for parts of South Jersey. Let me go to right now just to get a better idea. So here's right now. Some good chunks of energy are present down parts of Maryland and even stretching as far north as Pennsylvania. So there's some good energy for some thunderstorms to develop west of our area. But here in New Jersey, there is a little bit of a hole in terms of how much energy is available for these thunderstorms going forward. And as we step it forward a little bit, a few factors are going to play into how much energy is available throughout the day. The cloudiness over our area, clouds are going to limit the amount of heat that is available for these thunderstorms and the amount of energy they can have to reproduce and develop. And looking throughout the day, a little bit of a concentrated area of energy. It looks like it kind of funnels up towards northeast New Jersey, going into the overnight hours tomorrow night. So we could look at some severe weather for this part of New Jersey overnight tomorrow. But again, we'll have to look at that a little more in depth as the models update throughout the night. And another thing we're going to look at real quick is we're going to look at wind gusts. I'll show you guys temperature in just a little bit, but looking at our wind gust product, and that's going to just show us an idea of how much wind we're going to expect throughout the day tomorrow. So right now, 8 o'clock p.m., some gustiness along the shore. As we step that forward, as that front comes through, going to see a little bit of a wind change throughout the day. Actually, doesn't look like we're going to see much wind gusts throughout the day tomorrow. Otherwise, the Storm Prediction Center would have definitely highlighted that in the severe weather outlook. So overall, it's not going to be too severe with these thunderstorms and scattered showers throughout the day tomorrow, but you are going to definitely feel the temperature drop throughout the day tomorrow as we look at our temperature product. We're going to go to surface. This is our surface temperature, what it's forecasting. So right now we're in the lower 80s, upper 70s. We're going to drop down into the lower 70s tonight. Some areas may even see upper 60s, depending on where you are in terms of elevation. And then going forward throughout the day tomorrow, if I can get this to update, could actually have, when we were looking at it yesterday, you could have seen the cold front highlighted by the drastic temperature drop. And I'm not really seeing that right now with this model run, but it does look like there is a bit of a temperature drop going into 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and that could be signs of thunderstorms or showers developing within these areas. So we're going to have to watch this cool pool of air throughout the day tomorrow, especially in the evening, because that could definitely kick up some thunderstorm activity for parts of New Jersey. But throughout the day tomorrow, temperatures are going to be much of the same today, just a smidge cooler than what we saw today. So no heat advisory should be in effect for that northeast portion of New Jersey. And then going throughout the night, temperatures are going to drop just a tad bit more than what we saw last night. Lower 70s, mid 70s for the night tomorrow night. And then looking at next day, it's definitely going to be a lot cooler than these past few days. So that's something to look forward to when this cold front does move through. So looking in terms of the long term, what we're going to be looking at is that high pressure that we were talking about is currently starting to break up, and make way for our low pressure that's going to move east, and that cold front that's going to swing from the northwest. So as we advance this just a little bit, there's our high pressure breaking up, and you can even see the low pressure right over here. That's where it says it's going to be centered, but it was more of to the southeast of where it's forecasting for this instance. But after that low pressure comes through, some high pressure is going to be building up. It looks like we do have a little bit of a weird blocking pattern going on here. Ridge building up to the west of the U.S., a trough in the atmosphere just to the east of it, and then another ridge kind of wedged between these two low pressure areas. And this is looking into the weekend. So that's going to be an interesting pattern going forward in terms of weather. And then after that high pressure area moves out, we're looking at next week a trough building up, a low pressure area building up over our region. That's going to supply us with cooler temperatures and some not necessarily stormy weather, but disturbed weather looking into next week. So that's the long-term picture going forward. If you look at the velocity and geopotential height, that's going to show us certain areas of pressure within the atmosphere, and then again spinach within the atmosphere going forward. It kind of looks like a little bit of a mess, but we do have that blocking pattern showing up again. Just a little bit. If we go to this weekend, actually. So here's our. Actually, I'm going to try and move that up. Actually, so here's our low pressure area to the east of Maine. Another low pressure to the west of. I'm not sure what Canadian province that is. If you guys know what province that is, let me know what it is. I'm not good with Canadian geography. But here's our two areas of low pressure and that ridge building up just in between these two areas. So that's going to be interesting to see what weather that's going to produce for the next few days for this weekend. If we actually look at our precipitation model for the European, that'll give us an idea of what we're going to look at. So here's our cold front that sweeps through tomorrow going into Thursday. It's going to stall out a little bit on Thursday and finally move out on Friday, giving us a chance for showers throughout the day on Friday and Saturday as well. So that's probably what that blocking pattern is telling us. It's that front that's going to stall out over the next few days. And then looking into next week, we do have that trough of low pressure that builds over our area, and that's going to bring us some disturbed but cooler weather for our region. And that's something we're going to have to look a little more in depth with the next week's weekly outlook. So as we look at the Weather Prediction Center, seeing what their forecasting fronts are going to be. Here's right now our low pressure up to the north of New York and our cold front that's sweeping down from the northwest. Going to be sweeping down tonight, going into tomorrow night. And here's our chance for cooler temperatures during the day tomorrow. Going into where we're going to be having our next live weather discussion. There is a chance of severe weather indicated by these red hatch boxes. So again, the threat for severe weather is there, but it's very, very minimum at that due to the amount of energy that is available and just because of the setup of this system. As we go to the Storm Prediction Center, what they're saying, looking at tomorrow, again, what we've been seeing for the past few days, only in a thunderstorm risk for our area and much of the northeast and southeast as well. The main severe weather risk actually is in the midwestern portions of the U.S. So parts of looks like Montana and a little bit of North Dakota, as well as Nebraska and the northern tip of Kansas. So we're looking at severe weather mainly being in this area of the U.S. And a very light thunderstorm risk throughout the day tomorrow. So that's what we're looking at for the next few days in terms of weather. I do actually want to go back to the tropics because there is a little bit of an area of interest not highlighted by the National Hurricane Center, but it does look very interesting on satellite. So we're going to just go back to that real quick and go to our North Atlantic region on the satellite. So here again, here's our, I'm going to loop it just to show you guys. So here's our Tropical Depression 10 between the Lesser Antilles and the Cabo Verde Islands. And just to the west of the African coast and by the Cabo Verde Islands is a very pronounced tropical wave. Even though there's a lot of convection going on right now, as seen in these darker areas on the infrared satellite, there's really no circulation and no signs of it developing into anything moving forward. But if it does, that's probably the next thing we're going to be expecting from the tropics going forward, because sea surface temperatures are definitely there to support any sort of tropical cyclone that does come out of this area of the Atlantic and then eventually move through the rest of the Atlantic. And there's my dog scratching at the door. So here's, if we do have another area of tropical activity, it's going to be this tropical wave going forward. But right now it's not likely to develop into anything further than that. So that's going to end our live weather discussion for tonight. Make sure to tune in tomorrow again at 8 p.m. We'll go over Tropical Depression 10, probably Tropical Storm Josephine by that time, and what we're going to look at that for the next few days, and then give you a recap of the day's weather for tomorrow. And in terms of tomorrow, make sure you are prepared nonetheless. Thunderstorms are a big risk in terms of lightning, so make sure you are going inside if you do hear thunder, and make sure you're practicing safe weather practices and follow all emergency weather alerts that are placed by the local forecasting offices. So that's going to about wrap it up for tonight. I will see you all tomorrow evening for our next weather discussion, and make sure to tune in for that, and we'll talk more weather then. Have a good night, everyone. Be safe.